Hello and welcome to the next installment of K8 Poker Tournament Manager's feature demo series. In this video, I will demonstrate the product's bounty features. Most Hold'em tournament players are familiar with bounty tournaments, but for those who are not, here is a brief description. A bounty tournament is where a portion or all of the prize pool is designated for bounties. So what is a bounty? A bounty is a reward that is given to a player that knocks another player out of the tournament, and the player knocked out was designated to have a bounty. Think of it like the Old West. An outlaw has a bounty on their head and bounty hunters track down or take out the outlaw and receive a reward for doing so. In bounty tournaments the same basic concept applies: take out or eliminate a player from a tournament that has a bounty and you get the reward. As previously stated, the amount of the bounty can vary based on the format of the tournament. The amount can be the entire buy-in or a portion of it. The most common format is where a portion, for example half of it, goes to the bounty fund and the other half goes to the general prize fund. That way you can cash, by collecting bounties, even if you don't win or make the money in the overall tournament or vice versa. There are also different types of bounty tournaments. The two most common are general and limited selection. A general bounty tournament is really basic. Every entrant receives a special bounty chip, and if they get knocked out of the tournament, the player that is responsible for knocking them out gets their bounty chip and the reward that comes with it. For this type of bounty tournament every player is treated the same, as every player has a price on their head, so to speak. The second type is limited selection, and this is where only a subset of the entrants are designated to have bounties. This type is often used when the host wants there to be fewer bounties, but for each bounty to be worth more. So instead of being rewarded for knocking out any player, you are only rewarded for knocking out certain players. There are obvious pros and cons to this type of bounty tournament, and which type you choose is determined purely by your preference. This option isn't available on most of the competitor products, but I am proud to say that is available with K8 Poker Tournament Manager. This feature is pretty cool. It can really spice up a tournament, and I am excited to tell you more about it. So here's how a secret bounty tournament works. Like a limited selection bounty tournament, only a subset of players are designated to have bounties, so each bounty is worth more to the person who collects it. However, the players with the bounties on their proverbial heads are hidden, secret or unknown to the tournament field. Whether the player has a bounty or not is only revealed when that player is eliminated from the tournament. At which time, the tournament is paused, the player is recorded in the player registry as eliminated, and only at that moment is the player's bounty status revealed. Not even the host knows until that moment. The great thing about a secret bounty tournament is that since no one knows who possesses the bounties, each player has the same perceived value from a knockout perspective, but may or may not result in a financial reward. This way there's no targeting certain players and the game carries a truer form. It's kind of like a game within a game. As the bounty status is being revealed, the player that knocked the player out is hoping that player has a bounty, while the rest of the field hopes for the contrary. Another advantage to secret bounties is that they reduce or eliminate collusion or collaboration. Say I am severely short-stacked and I am in a hand with my buddy, I might subconsciously put my bounty at risk knowing that the recipient is my friend, and if my opponent was someone else, perhaps I wouldn't. We'd like to assume that those types of things don't happen, either intentionally or unintentionally, but in reality they could, and secret bounties eliminates that possibility. There are other nuances and details to go over, but I will cover those while I demo the configuration, preparation, and management of the bounty feature within this product. So let's get to it. From the host admin panel on the main screen, we will click the setting button and enter the admin password to access the configuration settings form. On this form there are 3 options or controls that pertain to bounty tournaments, and they are located in the middle of the form. Number of bounties, bounty value, and a secret bounties checkbox option. In this video I will demo all 3 types of bounty tournaments, starting with general. For a general bounty tournament, since each player has a bounty, we would enter the number of entrants to the tournament here. Next we would enter the value of each bounty. In this case, we will make the bounty 1/2 of the player portion of the entry fee, or $25. Since it isn't a secret bounty tournament we would uncheck this if it is checked. Next we click the Save Settings button to save and exit the form. Back on the main screen you see that the marquee shows 18 bounties at $25 per entrant and the remaining $25 from each entrant going to the general prize pool. Next, we will click the player registry button and enter the admin password again. Notice the Show Assign Bounties button object. We click it to display the Assign Bounties button. Next we will click the Assign Bounties button. A window will appear as each player is assigned a bounty until all players have been assigned a bounty. Notice now that all players have a bounty designation. Now let's go back to the main page and demo the limited selection bounty option where the players with bounties are randomly assigned and are publicly known. First we go back into the settings module. For this scenario, let's assume that we only want half of the players to have bounties, thereby making each bounty twice as valuable. We would put a 9 in here and $50 here. Then click Save Settings and exit the form. Notice now that each bounty is worth $50 but the general prize pool stays the same. Next we'll access the player registry module again. We will click the Show Assign Bounties button object to display the Assign Bounties button. And then click Assign Bounties. Notice again as each bounty is randomly assigned to a player, a window appears letting everyone know the bounty was assigned to that player. As each bounty designation is revealed, the host would give that player a special bounty chip to remind everyone who the bounty players are. We continue this cycle until all of the bounties are assigned. Finally I will demo the secret bounty option. Once again we will return to the main screen and access the settings module. For this one we'll drop the number of bounties down to 5 and increase the bounty value to $100. We will also click the checkbox for secret bounty. Now we will hit Save Settings to save and exit the form. Notice now from the main screen, we have 5 bounties at $100 per and the remaining portion of the prize pool is $400, or 50 times 18 or $900 minus the $500 bounty pool. Next let's jump back into the player registry module. Now we will secretly assign 5 bounty players at random. We will click the Show Assign Bounties button object again to display the Assign Bounties button. And then click Assign Bounties. Notice now that a pop-up message appears to let us know that the bounties have been secretly assigned. We click OK to acknowledge and close the pop-up message. But notice that the bounty column is blank for all of the players. If we click on that column we cannot tell who has the bounty and who doesn't. Now let's flip back to the main screen and start the tournament clock. Let's assume that we have let the clock run for a while and we have encountered our first elimination, Steve K. We hit Shift tilde to pause the timer. Next click OK to acknowledge that the clock or timer has been stopped. Then jump back into the player registry module. Locate Steve K on the player list. Enter a Y in the eliminated column for him. And if he has a bounty, a B would appear in the bounty column. One by one let's emulate eliminating each player in an arbitrary order. Notice as the bounty players are revealed, the B is displayed until the last bounty player is revealed. If the winner of the tournament is a bounty player, then you will see one fewer B in the bounty column than the number bounties secretly assigned. You can confirm this by flagging them as eliminated as well. Finally, a couple of footnotes to keep in mind regarding limited selection bounty tournaments, secret or not. First, because bounties are randomly assigned to players prior to the start of the tournament must be a freeze-out, meaning players are not allowed to re-enter, rebuy, or enter late. Secondly, although it's not common, add-ons are allowed for bounty tournaments. So when they are, the general prize pool will reflect the add-ons as well. This concludes this feature demo and we thank you for watching. Please check out our other feature demos as well. Thank you again, and we hope you enjoy using K8 Poker Tourna Manager.